Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. We have a smaller group here, and so hopefully you can hang on at least for a few minutes. Normally we do an hour conversation, but today's might be shorter. We might target 30 minutes unless we get a number of people coming on. One of the key people for this meeting was intended to be Nima Maleli, who is our executive director, our being Global Chamber executive director in Tanzania. I'll give you an update for our big July 9 through 11 Global Chamber Tanzania event in a moment. But I'd like to at least give some framework about what this meeting is about and what we'd like to cover. Normally, we get together once a month on topics that are related to opportunities in Africa. This month, actually, we have several different Africa events, and we'll have quite a number of more between now and July 9th through 11th, because that's going to be a big event, a kind of a milestone event for Global Chamber. And because it involves the president of Tanzania, the president of Zanzibar, a variety of different trade leaders in Tanzania. It involves the intent by Global Chamber to reach out to all 54 countries and pull together our team there and also bring our global board of directors to that event, including Dr. Sanjeev Kagram, who's our co-leader of our global board. He was born in Uganda. His father owned the largest bank in Uganda, and it was taken from them by Idi Amin's organization, and they were expelled, and he ended up growing up in South Africa. And then to some extent, the rest is history in the sense that he's brilliant, he's a global icon, he works with the United Nations, he's deeply connected on every level with just everywhere. I'm so amazed and impressed by Dr. Kagram. He more recently also led for 7 years the renaissance of Thunderbird School of Global Management, which was one of the inspirations for me in starting Global Chamber. I love the fact that it's the #1 international business school. That's great. It's located in Phoenix, Arizona, 77 years of existence. It's a little bit under the radar, but it's an amazing school. And I remember visiting there before I started Global Chamber, and it's mostly international students that are master's students, and they are optimistic and smart and positive and want to be impactful, and they are, especially when they graduate. And so that was a feeling that I just thought was amazing. And why don't we have that more ubiquitously across? I see Shalom Bako. Shalom is, to me, what a Thunderbird graduate is, someone who is a doer, someone who is passionate and smart and very action oriented toward trade and exporting. And that's how Shalom was able to build a successful exporting business. It's not easy. Most people don't do it in any country, let alone Africa. And my own belief in having now been through 10 years of Global Chamber, the next 10 years, the next 20 years, to me, is all about Africa and the opportunities in Africa to develop the kind of export mentality that Shalom has more ubiquitously in every country. AFCFTA is amazing. It's a great first start, just like the NAFTA was for North America and pulling together Canada, the US, and Mexico. There was a lot of resistance to that. It seems like it's fairly simple to be able to just get countries to do trade, and you start somewhere, and that's the way it started in North America, and then became an obvious thing to do, that we need to be working together. The same thing is happening now in Africa. And the next step, besides just working together, is to consider, hey, we're a region. and we can be successful in supplying as a region to the rest of the world products and services. And so that's, as you all know, is going on in Africa now. And our goal at Global Chamber is to accelerate that. And that's a lot of what the Tanzania event is all about that we're doing on July 9th through 11th. I've already spoken too much, but I wanted to at least get an introduction to that overall theme of what's important. Shalom, if you're open to speak, I'd love to hear from you in terms of it, certainly getting an update. I'm not sure we've shared too much yet with you or the world about our Tanzania event. I've found out a lot about it just in the last few days, so we haven't even had a chance to do that. Nima Maleli of Global Chamber Tanzania is today meeting or today met the Tanzanian government officials to do kind of the final run through in terms of a lot of what she's been putting together. So after today, we'll do a decompression with her and then hold together more fully the program and get that out in the next few days. Shalom, are you available to chat about what's going on in your world and anything you'd like to share about that?
Sure thing. Thanks, Doug. I really appreciate it. And hello to everybody, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for the kind words, Doug. Um, so, yeah, I mean, definitely looking forward to any event. Tanzania is on my list of places to go, so I'd definitely love to go there. But engagement-wise, doing a lot more to engage more in East Africa. So this year, actually went to Uganda and Ethiopia, and we're starting to do some more fresh exports from East Africa, particularly avocados at the moment. So fresh and frozen. But I think there's definitely a lot to say about trade in Africa. I think sometimes it feels like beating a dead horse, at least to me, just because I've been doing this for a while. And, you know, but it is good that there's more attention, there's more narrative, there's more being spoken about Africa now. And this is something that I kind of saw maybe 10 years ago happening. So that's part of why we've been intentional about being strategic several years ago to position ourselves to where we are today. So I think it's definitely not too late. It's still kind of early stages for a lot of things. But one key thing I want to say is the supply chain, the entire supply chain is an opportunity. I think a lot of times when we talk about trade with Africa, I think sometimes maybe, the focus has been put just on certain areas, but I just want to say that the entire supply chain from production to distribution and retail are huge opportunities. And I'll say I've been particularly uh, more focused over the last year or two on the storage side of things and logistics side of things. So we've kind of strategically been not just pivoting, I will say, but investing a lot more of our assets into resources like storage and logistics. So we have cold storage facilities now in South America, North America, on the continent, and we've sort of created this triangle of trade. And that's kind of where we're presently at. And I believe that as trade with Africa continues to grow, more companies and more opportunities will continue to flourish. So thanks for the floor. Thank you for the time, Doug.
Shalom is the hibiscus king of the world and exporting from Nigeria. Congratulations on the success. And kind of a quick update. Besides myself drinking now on a daily basis hibiscus flavored water, I've got both my wife and my grandson drinking hibiscus. They've discovered it, and not just in water, but in other things. And so we'll continue to spread the joy and the love of exporting. Shalom is also an amazing football player, soccer player. And where are you today, by the way? Are you in Nigeria or in the U.S.?
I'm actually in Colombia, South America.
Oh, okay. What's going on in Colombia? Are you looking for some product or vacation?
Okay. Well, since mid last year, we opened a distribution facility over here.
Okay.
So we've actually imported goods from the continent here, and South America, Colombia particularly, is our headquarters for South America. So it makes it very easy for us strategically to service um, South America and Central America, but also it's much cheaper and faster. I'm not say cheaper. It's just quicker in terms of delivery from South America into North America into US for some of our clients. So that's kind of what we've done strategically. So Colombia is our hub for South America at the moment. And that's why I'm here.
Okay, brilliant. Does anybody have any questions for Shalom? He, by the way, is not only supporting Global Chamber Nigeria, although TT there for us, is making a lot of different changes. And have you had a chance to chat with her in the last few weeks by any chance?
Absolutely. Yeah. Titi and
Okay,
I have been in contact about the event as well happening in Nigeria. I believe it's in July, if I'm not
super.
mistaken.
Fantastic. I'm not sure, but probably yes. That sounds right. So that's great. He's also on the Global Chamber Los Angeles Advisory Board because he has a base in Orange County in Southern California. So, and we've had some fun with him there, including, tracking his some shipments into the port of LA, which could use some shipments these days, given the reduction from China that's about to happen or is happening. Um,
I have a question for Shalom.
Yes, Eric. Hey, thank you for joining today. How are you?
My pleasure. Happy New Year. um, uh, you said happy that you're here. I misheard you. Shalom, are you currently selling anything to Publix, Wegmans, or Neiman Marcus?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Gotcha. Well, you may people have been trying to get you and I to speak and meet for some time. I helped write a GOA many years ago on Rosa Whitaker's kitchen floor, and then I helped. My firm has been helping African companies export to the U.S. For the last 22 years, and we're in some major retailers. We worked with the Africa Trade Desk to raise $56 million for South African table grapes to get into Publix, but before that, we were even helping some Nigerian, Liberian, Ghanaian, Kenyan, South African, Zambian companies export to the U.S. And we focus on the sales channel portion, and we're based here in Maryland and enjoy a great relationship with the Port of Baltimore, among others. But I just wondered if you were in those particular retailers, because if you're not, we'd be happy to help you in that regard.
I'll be happy to speak. I'm just sending you some of my contact information. And yeah, there's a lot of what we've been doing strategically in terms of distribution. There's a lot of products and brands that um, have improved a lot of their packaging quality, et cetera, a lot of things, and are ready for the U.S. market. So we do have some brands that we currently distribute from Atlanta that we've gotten into several retailers like your grocery outlets and some other big retailers. So we definitely love to have a conversation and see if these products can be a great fit. And likewise for any African suppliers or brands and companies, we kind of go through a process of vetting them to see if they're ready for the US market. So would love to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate it. Would you like to give an introduction of yourself? Eric's based in the Baltimore, Washington area.
You're asking me if I want to introduce myself? Is that what you said?
Sure. Yes.
Uh,
Just a brief intro,
Sure,
because
I'll give
you've
the
done so much, but so
right. God has been very gracious. So, I my name is Eric Henderson. I'm a partner in a firm called Synergy Consulting. We finance major projects all over the world. We just finished a $5 billion financing for a hydro project in Mozambique, and we finance projects all over Africa, the Caribbean, Middle East. Before that, I was a partner at Interlink Capital Strategies, which was also financing projects in Africa, including Nigeria and around the world. It was founded by Neil Bush, President Bush's billionaire brother. Before that, I started XCBG International Development Group, and we bring U.S. and global companies into new markets to include Africa. We have offices and staff all over the continent. And before that, I was a Bush appointee at the World Bank and a Clinton appointee working for the Secretary of Commerce. So I won't bore anybody with anything more than that, but delighted to help any chamber members raise capital for the chamber, grow the chamber in the what we call the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and in my wife's home country of Bermuda.
great. And thanks for the connectivity on the Bermuda side as well. Appreciate it. I see Dee Dee, you've shared some information in the chat area. You're a long time member of Global Chamber. Appreciate all of your support over so many years. Did you have anything that you would like to share verbally? Are you are you open to speak?
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think you were directing to me, Doug. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Bonjour. How are you?
I'm hanging in there at least. It is not somehow not the best, our best moment in this country, but we are hanging in there and trying to get the best of it, whatever it is happening. Anyway, hey, I'm Dede Monfiston. Well, my name is Jean Garde Monfiston. I think this is what I'm reading in the screen. But I go by Dede usually. This is the first name I know for myself, and I'm working with Tech Fights. I said hello earlier in the chat and put my LinkedIn coordinate and Tech Fights website. Basically, we do tech works, and we are in the African continent, but we are a U.S. company based in Dallas, or more precisely in the Frisco area. And Eric, it seems we will have to
I'm
have
from
a
Dallas.
chat. Sorry, come again?
I should have said that's exciting. I'm from Dallas.
Oh, great, wonderful. So we work at the C-suite level. We do merger and acquisition. We do IT performance management. We just gave birth to another service we call connected government. This is most of people might think that it is kind of e-government, but it goes a little bit further than that. And we do cybersecurity as well. Right now, we are in talk with a few of the African countries to see how we can help them in their digitalization project. So this is it. I have work and live in a few countries within the African continent. Senegal, Somalia, Ethiopia, DR Congo, Gabon, Rwanda, Uganda, and who knows what else, and a little bit in the Caribbean region where I'm from, and live and work in the Middle East as well. So that's it. And Doug, I'm a T-bird as well, and I was so proud when you were talking about Thunderbird earlier.
Thank you. So you know that feeling, that the inspiration that it creates for those that pass through. We're very fortunate to have the sponsorship with Arizona State University, which now is the owner of Thunderbird. to include them donating quite a large space within the building for Global Chamber to have our global headquarters. And so we're the only organization other than Thunderbird in the building, and it's a joy and a pleasure to be there. Jem, I'd like to continue to go around the room, but I do want to give at this point an introduction to the Global Chamber Tanzania event on July 9 through 11, and then we'll go around the room. So it's 25 after here, and given the amount of folks in the room, we'll likely go into 55, so another 30 minutes. And if I could spend 5 minutes on Tanzania, including answering any questions, and then just do a continued roundtable, I think that might be the appropriate next step. Hopefully, some of you can go for the next 30 minutes. Jem, if you could send the link out in the chat, you probably have already done that, for the Tanzania July 9 through 11. This is an event organized by the Executive Director of Global Chamber Tanzania, and if she's able to join today, that's great. She did meet with the government of Tanzania today. She's already secured both the presidents of Tanzania and of why am I blanking on the Zanzibar? Sorry, I had a senior moment. President of Zanzibar, which is a semi-autonomous territory island that's a beautiful place. So we're going to be doing this event, and there are a lot of investment events on Africa, and Shalom, to some degree, you alluded to that, or at least what I took away from part of what you said was people have been talking about Africa for decades, about the future potential. And I do believe, and certainly tempered by the reality, that this is a great moment to be involved in opportunities in Africa. So we've been talking about doing a global get together for Global Chamber for the last several years. The last time we tried to do something was 2020, and we were going to do something in early 2020, and then COVID hit. I remember the daily activities in January of 2020 and looking at what was happening. I was like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to do this. And so hopefully something doesn't happen like that for before July. I fully expect that we'll be able to proceed. And basically the event is planned in Dar es Salaam for 3 days, bookended by the presidents of Tanzania and Zanzibar, along with a lot of different other programming that we're still pulling together. So I encourage all of you to learn more about it. Watch for the information that's coming out in the next couple days. I'll be there. That'll be my first trip to Tanzania. And the goal for me there is to send the message to our membership and to ourselves, maybe, about opportunity, and that the world, everywhere in the world, matters. And I'm just really happy and thrilled that the first event that we can pull together as an organization is in Africa and in Tanzania in particular. I mentioned there's lots of different meetings and events, and this is not certainly the first one. It's one of maybe thousands that have happened. And we hope this one will create some uniqueness and specialness and bring, as Dede mentioned, kind of that spirit that he and I both, and maybe some others of you, have felt at Thunderbird and other places within the global tribe, where instead of being very regional, which is important, that there is a common thread, a global thread that's very important, and bringing Africa into that thread, especially around manufacturing and exportable products and exporting mentality, and raising the level of accelerating the level of prosperity faster and faster through that services and products sold from Africa. I think it's critically important for every region to be that way. That's how Global Chamber started. I felt like the US still had a lot in the tank, a lot that could be done in terms of export mentality. I watched Mexico develop that export mentality, particularly in IT services, and now in onshore manufacturing from around the world inside Mexico. Those things are critically important for the sustainability of regions, and I believe that very much around Africa. And so, through talking with Dr. Sanjeev Kagram and being from Uganda, he is more passionate about Africa than me and than most others. And beyond being just passionate, he's got the connections and the capability to have an impact, as he already has in Africa and more. My most fun story about Dr. Kagram is that a couple years ago we did a Mandela Day event. We do a Mandela Day event every year, by the way, through at Thunderbird, and it's also done through the Mandela Washington Fellow Program that's done by the U.S. State Department. They typically have 30 to 40 young leaders that are selected and that come to Phoenix and come to different parts of the U.S. They're amazing young people, and it's every year a great inspiration. 2 years ago, the grandson of Nelson Mandela came to Phoenix along with some amazing young people, one in particular from Nigeria that I still am just like so amazed at what her capability is, and the honor of continuing to work with her within Global Chamber is just a real pleasure. But during that particular one, Dr. Cogram spoke about the the future of the world and the future of Africa, and he wore a shirt that he had received from Nelson Mandela, which I thought was amazing for two reasons. One, he has a shirt from Nelson Mandela. He worked within the water department as a young man when Nelson Mandela was the president of the country, and he got to meet him and talk to him. And through that, he met Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and that was one of his Dr. Kagram's paths to his global iconness. So certainly getting that relationship has been amazing for him and just goes to the testimony of how amazing he is as a person, so remarkable. And secondly, after so many years, he could still fit in the shirt that Nelson Mandela gave him, which is, I thought, extraordinary for those of you who are aging. So he's and he stays fit mentally and physically. So he'll be a key part of the planning for this event, and hopefully he'll be there. July 9th is his wife's birthday, and so we're working around that issue, but hopefully he'll be there along with a number of the 15 advisors that we have on a global scale for Global Chamber. So I hope you'll learn more about it in the next week and consider attending the Global Chamber Tanzania event and connecting up and learning more about the opportunities there. I've spent my 5 minutes, and so certainly if you have any questions, please fire away between now and the time we end this program in 20 plus minutes from now. I see Bonamelo Malloy, you actually were the first person in the room, so I appreciate you joining early. I'm not sure if you can say a few words, but I've been really impressed by learning about the work that you're doing in South Africa, being based in Joburg. Thank you for attending today. Do you have a moment to introduce yourself and say hi?
Absolutely, Doug. And good day to everyone else. Good morning, good evening, wherever everyone is this side. It's afternoon time. I'm always very excited to be joining conversations, and I'm glad that I could join it today as well, Doug. A huge compliment. Appreciate it. Um, I am the founding chairperson of Bonamelo Melisizwe Foundation in South Africa, Johannesburg. And we are a nonprofit that focuses on youth development. And we've been blessed to start a digital literacy program. We call it Melisizwe Coders, and we are teaching young people. And this time we have a cohort of about just under 30 unemployed youth. between the ages of, in our class, of 17 to 35. And it's a mixture of both ladies and gents, of about, I think a 60-40 split, 60% being ladies mostly, and then 40% being boys. So we have taken these young people, and they are part of a program where we are teaching them right from the foundations of basic computer literacy. We have established that even from schooling level, our young people are not exposed to computers, and they are very phone savvy, if I can put it like that. They know how to navigate a phone, but they don't actually know how to type. And just the basic computer literacy skills. So we take them from there, then we teach them how to code, and we have a website development course that we are taking them through. And for the first time, we are having these learners design their own websites, and they are so excited. And they are now finishing that part now in May up until the first week of June, I think. And then we'll be certificating them for a full 6-month website development um, sort of first session of the 12-month program. Then we'll be introducing cybersecurity and AI in the latter part of the year. This is our first 12-month program. We are only just 3 years old as of January of this year as a registered organization, and we are quite proud of the work we are doing. So in the community, we are focusing under an umbrella of youth development and poverty interventions. So from time to time, we go out and have community outreach programs as well, where we focus on hygiene, mental health and wellness, and food parcels as well. But of course, some of our desires are to, before the end of the year, launch a backyard farming program, because land is quite a big issue for us. So we wanted to start from a small scale, from each other's backyards, and then we cross-pollinate. But the objective of all our skills programs is actually that people can start their own businesses and become economically relevant. I hope that is a good introduction, Doug.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions for either Bonamello or any of the other folks that we've spoken with so far? Feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand. Either one is fine. And if I'll continue to just keep moving, but just unmute yourself along the way if you'd like to ask a question or make some contribution here today. You know, our goal at Global Chamber is to be everywhere and to focus in on opportunities, because there's an infinite number of opportunities. A lot of the challenges become we don't know who to know and trust. We know that. Just a quick example of this morning, had one of our interns from a few years ago who's gone back to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And Eric, this is a little bit of your story as well, and it relates a little bit to why it's taken us this long to kind of connect. This is, I think, a similar example where this young man, Abdul Rahman, who was an intern at Global Chamber for several months, I got to know him and trust him, and he ended up going for the summer to back home to Saudi Arabia. And we were having a little trouble with our leaders in both Saudi Arabia and UAE. They're the same leadership. It's two brothers and one in each country. And Abdul Rahman went back and he was able to broker is not the right word, but at least have a conversation to get them re-engaged or to get them engaged. So I have a good feeling about him. He graduated from Thunderbird about 2 years ago, and I haven't heard much from him. Partially, I guess, my fault. I should have just continued to stay deeply connected because I know him, but he started WhatsApping me about meeting someone. And it just seemed a little bit funny. I'm maybe old school. I like an email. I like background. I want to study. I want to understand what's going on. He didn't tell me why he wanted me to meet. He just said we should meet. And normally, when people do that, I often ignore it or just to ask them to send me information because we're all busy and I'm busy and I don't have the time to just do random things. But because it was Abdul Rahman, I decided to take the call. And he did introduce me to some guy. And he was in the call for the first time. And I went to his LinkedIn profile and he has 30,000 followers and he's got a big presence in primarily Saudi Arabia. And he was a little bit of a sales guy, like very much pitchy kind of stuff. And but I don't know whether it's going to go anywhere, but it is promising. And I'll do some follow up and things like that. So that's a maybe too much background on that. All of us deal with that, right? Who to trust? How do we know who to work with, and can we trust the people that we're connected to? And that is the core of what I think is essential about what we're at least trying to do, so that there's visibility and transparency in the interactions that we have with people, so that people are not burned by others who take advantage of others. And that's critically important. And so I only bring that up, Eric, and mention your name because I didn't know you. And when the other day you shared some things that you've been part of, I didn't know. I don't have that background. I still don't have a full background on you, but I've developed enough connection with you to trust you and to know you well enough that I could recommend you. And so at the end of the day, that's to me a critical stage. I would not recommend this guy I met yet today on the call, even though I trust Abdul Rahman. I don't trust this other guy yet enough to introduce him to someone because there's still due diligence that's required. And so a lot of what's really important for us and what we're trying to do is to develop the kinds of relationships to be able to get to that level with many, many more people. And so Dada Mumfiston is here in the call, and he's been involved for so many years. Or Shalom Bako, who had to leave, is someone that is, beyond reproach in terms of his ethics. He's amazing, and these are people that are trusted. And so that's really the trusted global tribe that we're looking to grow. And that's part of why I feel so strongly about the Tanzania event being a critically important one for us, bringing our team from all 54 countries of Africa, hopefully all of them represented in that meeting in July 9 through 11. It's been scaled down to about 400 attendees. Originally, it was about 1,000, and now we've scaled it down to about 400 to not be this huge event, but at least be one that is a stepping stone to the next steps. And so Erica, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm just trying to be transparent, in terms of what I'm thinking about or object to what I might say. Because I now trust you and believe in you and feel good enough about your background, I'm just being transparent about that. I wouldn't be talking this way if I didn't feel that way about you. So
No, I appreciate that. It's interesting. Um, as you mentioned, being older and old school, my 21-year-old son just walked in and out, and he's working for a billionaire in Bermuda after having worked for $100 billion company last year. And people in his age group, kind of the 20 to, I'll call it 40, were skeptical of me because at one point I wasn't on LinkedIn, and that was intentional. I don't do Instagram, I don't do Facebook, and it was only about 2, 3 years ago maybe that I got on LinkedIn because somebody said to me, "Well, how can anyone know you're credible if you're not on LinkedIn?" And I was thinking, I've spent 35 years building relationships with presidents and prime ministers, barons of industry, billionaires that are clients of mine, either giving it away free or having people have access to say, "Oh, I know Eric," and use that as a way to get involved with some of my relationships, was something I was fearful for. But to your point, if you align with the right organization, become a member of the right organization, uh, develop trust, like I think I am starting to begin to have with Global Chamber, it's much easier. A lot of what a young lady that I hired recently said, anybody that anybody that needs to know you knows how to find you. And I thought that was so interesting that she would say that, because she's 34 or whatever she is, and so everything they do is electronic and not relational, which is very foreign to me. I i i would introduce you to people because I've observed you over a long period of time, but it completely makes sense. Did you see, by the way, I put Andrew Mahiga's information in the chat. Andrew is the British Commercial Service senior Tanzanian in the office in Dar es Salaam, but he used to be one of my employees with the U.S. Commercial Service. He switched from the U.S. Commercial Service to the British Commercial Service. But I
Okay.
recommend you guys have him as a speaker,
Okay.
and a participant in your Tanzanian conference, and maybe even a source of sponsorships, for whatever it's worth.
Awesome. No, that's great. So the Tanzanian ambassador to the U.S. actually, it was funny because Nima asked, we need to have that connection, and Sanjeev not only knows her, but they're close personal friends. They worked at the UN together. And so, to your point, Eric, these kinds of relationships happen, and all of us kind of feel like, well, I know these people, I have these connections at a high level, and that's enough. And, for some people, it is enough. And I'm not going to be judgmental at all about it and how people create their own scenarios about how they want to live their lives. That's all up to them. For us, however, I want it to be transparent. And the big reason, honestly, are things like when I read Nelson Mandela's autobiography, which I highly recommend. It was one of the most moving books holistically that I've ever read, where he, as he was growing up, recognized that the tribal behavior, where even someone from a particular tribe in South Africa couldn't marry someone from a tribe in Tanzania, or different tribes. And that whole mentality of localness, that it only matters about what's happening local, is is disruptive to the concept of the global tribe. It's disruptive, I think, to progress in the world. It exists. It's a human nature to be tribal, to find groupings of people around you. It's just natural. It happens. What we're trying to do is, in addition to that, layer in a globalness. And LinkedIn is a great example of something that, ideally, if everybody was on LinkedIn in the world, and everybody had their profile, and everybody had their education, and everybody was fully transparent about their background, that would be an amazing world. I don't have the power to do that, but I do have some level of influence over bringing more people in to Global Chamber and encouraging them to be as open and transparent as possible, recognizing that some people aren't going to be doing that. Not that it's a bad thing. It's their own personal judgment. But if they are connected to people like me and others who feel that way, then they are basically within the global tribe as well. So anyway, thank you for seeing it that way, Eric, and thank you thank you for your kind words as well. Does anybody else? We've probably only got about 5 minutes left. Does anybody else have anything they would like to share? And I see Joanna. I think I recognize your name. And Rabaning, I think I recognize your name as well. If you like anything to share and introduce yourself, that's fine. And Sayali, I think I saw something in the chat area from you. Is there anything that you'd like to share, or anybody? Feel free.
Good morning. I'm
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead, Jonas. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'll be brief. Good morning from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My name is Johanna Duckworth. I am a startup. I learned about this organization through attorney Demetrius Evans. We spoke at a conference together in Chicago, Illinois, and so I'm glad to make you all's acquaintance. Thank you so much for sharing the information. I have a company called Life in Tech, and we provide digital literacy services. So I was very excited to hear from the gentleman, I believe in Joburg, that spoke of his nonprofit. I'd love to connect with you. I'm doing similar work here in my area and have been to Joburg. I was there last year in 2024, delivering some digital lit services. I partnered with a mission-based organization, and I was able to deliver some digital lit services. So it was an amazing opportunity. I also work in the education space at Marquette University. And our focus is STEM education for K-12. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to be here. I'm very interested in learning more about global impact and how I can do more globally within my business and the services that I provide. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And I really enjoyed listening to you all and hope to be participating more in your events. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. I appreciate and Demetrius Evans is amazing, as you know, even probably from a short perspective. I did get to meet her in person finally. She's been our advisory board chair for Global Chamber Chicago for almost 3 years. Even yesterday, one of our members is an exporter. She's been nominated for the E Award for this year in Chicago for the exporting work that she's doing. And she had a unwarranted inspection of a container and was ultimately charged $18,000, and the delay caused about $200,000 worth of damage to the goods inside, and then there are other potential ramifications. And so she wants to fight the U.S. government for this, erroneous inspection. And so Demetrius is helping her. So over the last few days, I've been encouraging them to get together. And yesterday afternoon, the exporter, Sophia, texted me and said, "I love Demetrius. She's a battler like me, and we're gonna battle through this." And so that was really encouraging. And Demetrius is, an extraordinary person. So thank you for what you shared, and looking forward to staying in touch. Rebeneng, you raised your hand. Thank you very much. What would you like to share? Just unmute yourself and go ahead, please.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see me.
We can.
Okay, because for me the video doesn't look good. So my name is Rebone Makwa. I am a Mosotho from Lesotho, the country that nobody has heard of. I wish you guys can relate. So yeah, I've known about the Global Chamber. I think from you, we met via LinkedIn a few years ago, and I think we had a few virtual calls together. I have also been in touch with a number of Global Chamber members, but I think everybody has been talking about the issue of trust and the issue of understanding what the Global Chamber is really about. I haven't been really that much active, but just to share my background, I have a number of years in government, in policy and government strategy. I would just call it policy. working on business reforms, or what you can call business ecosystem strengthening. Sometimes they call them investment climate reforms. I have a number of years in international development with UNDP. I've also worked on the recent Millennium Challenge Cooperation Act projects in Lesotho, which just got cancelled after Trump said what he said about Lesotho being a country nobody has heard of. So I'm a consultant, international development consultant, in specifically with policy, like I said, business ecosystem strengthening, business development, international trade. In international trade, as I like to look at mostly in terms of looking at sourcing opportunities and also making those linkages between exporters and importers. I understand the outlook towards being more export driven, engaging like that. But I also like to look at finding inputs, sources for other processors locally. So sometimes I help other African businesses find inputs. I had people talking about South America. I specifically like looking for import sources, like say, where do African countries look for cranes, say Brazil, Argentina, because we do know that after COVID and also the Ukrainian war, a lot of our processors in Africa lost a lot of those inputs opportunities. So I like to look at those areas. I'm in investment promotion as well. I do have a sort of a startup, but I won't talk about that now. But
Okay.
I'm more
How
interested
about
in...
I'd like to circle back with you because I recognize that we've connected in the past and you've got an amazing background. So I'll send you a connection, a reconnection, and maybe we can talk again and move forward, because as you know, we do have leadership there, but I love the fact that you're interested and that you've got a great background. And if you're open to it, let's find a way to work together.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Very good.
And I'm excited that you will also be working in Tanzania. Tanzania has been my home recently, so I just spent a couple of years there doing my master's.
Amazing.
So I love Tanzania. The people are amazing, especially Zanzibar. So yeah, if you need anything from me, know I can help you with contacts where you need something. But I'm happy to realize that you're already making strides with people there.
We'll circle back on that too. Sayali, did you want to have the last word?
Oh, thank you. I just heard about backyard farming, and I couldn't resist putting something in chat to Mr. Molloy. So I'm actually harvesting saffron for last 7-8 years here in Austin, Texas, and I see the similar this thing on the African some of the countries too. So they may also try that. So I will share my blog article with him just as a primary interest and see if I can help him. So that was on a lighter note. So this was good conversation to listen. I also got to know about the African market, that the market is emerging. They are a lot of companies, businesses still working on Excel sheets, and there is a huge potential for them to raise in terms of digital transformation. So if you any one of you need any help, feel free to have a conversation with me, and we'll be happy to help.
We're a leading organization that supports technology development and implementation of it. Thank you, Sayali. We need to end the call because we have another call that we need to move on to. So thank you all for joining today. Jem, thank you for facilitating this, and thank you all for participating. We'll be in touch. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.